Okay. Welcome. Let me roll our intro. All right. So this is another edition of our Q&A live show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're watching the replay, thank you for joining us. I'd like to suggest that you like the page if you're on Facebook, subscribe if you are on YouTube, so that you can get a notification the next time we put up next time we have a live show. We also put up content, very relevant content from time to time. So it's a good idea to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yes. So Uche and I are here again. Let me do a quick intro. If we haven't met before now, my name is Ladi Gia. I am a HR consultant, learning facilitator, and a career coach. Also, a serial career changer. I have a very interesting career path. I've done many things from decorating decorating assistant, event decoration assistant, to sales and marketing, and more recently, HR consulting, and then more recently focusing on coaching. Yeah, that's me, and I firmly believe that everyone can get work that is rewarding, that they enjoy, and that is congruent with their lifestyle. I don't subscribe to the view of work being separate from life. It should all work together towards one purpose. And it is possible to get work that you like, enjoy, and that is highly rewarding. The mission of my career drive is to help mid to senior level professionals find highly rewarding jobs, both in terms of pay and in terms of self actualization. Okay, so that's it about me. Uche,
Uh,
yourself.
well, this is always gets a bit hairy to describe myself. I'm a HR consultant. I've been doing this for 20 years. I have specialized in different arms of HR. And it seems like with Ladi has been a serial career changer. I'm a serial HR focus changer. I I get motivated by different parts. Today it's performance management. Tomorrow it's culture. Right now I am on a career drive, particularly from coming out of the pandemic, and I can imagine that this is forefront for many people. So I'm on this project with Ladi for my career drive. Yeah, so that's it about me.
Okay,
So
all
it's
right.
not as exciting. Let's get on with the show.
Okay, all right. I forgot to mention, if you have, of course, we're here. The reason why we're here is to answer your questions, to give you actionable guides to facilitate your job search. So if you have a question, please just type it into the comments wherever you are, on YouTube, on Facebook, and then we will just take your question. Today we're talking about networking for job search. A couple of weeks ago, I did a poll on LinkedIn, sharing a couple of topics, and I asked people to choose what they wanted to hear about first. Networking was the second highest topic, and so that's why we're talking about it now. So, networking for job search. Today we're going to cover why is it important, how should you do it, etc. The first thing, so I'm going to share, which and I will share one quick tip before we go to questions. Um, Networking is really a life skill, right? It's not strictly for job search. I often tell people that the sum of the value you will get in life will come from your relationships. If you're not reaching out and forming relationships, you're not going to get very much done. But it's particularly important, right, for networking. When related to job search in particular, I want to, it's important to have a target. So it's not just going online or going out into the market and connecting with anybody and everybody. You actually have to know where it is that you want to work. That is what should then form, and I'm talking about strictly related to job search now. So you must first know where you want to work. And then the next step is to then identify people in your network that can get you, in front of the hiring manager, or can tell you when an opportunity is opening up. The thing to we must emphasize here is not just this person knows me. Remember, we always say employers, the biggest factor for them is risk, right? And the reason why networking is so important is that you can get recommended by people who know you, have worked with you, and can vouch for your ability to perform, right? So is finding those people, accessing them, and leveraging their inside contacts to the places where you want to work, to get in. Uche, what's your one big tip?
My one big tip is that you decide where you want to go, like you mentioned. I always like to tell people that recruitment or finding a job is not, it's a mission. I'd like to tell the story of a gentleman that I met a number of years ago before LinkedIn was a thing. Luckily for us, we now have LinkedIn where we can use to start off our networking journey. This gentleman I met had a yellow pages, and he had it all structured out, who he was going to see, how he was going to meet people, and which companies had interested him. So he had turned up to our recruitment, our HR consulting company to say, I have this plan. I want to talk to 20 recruitment organizations, one by one, and I'm looking for a role. He came to me as I'm looking for a role straight up. And then when he had done that, I was recommending other places he could also go to because we had no suitable roles. And he was happy to tell me, I've been here, I've been here, I've been here. This person, I have an appointment at 5. Like he had set out this his networking plan. Back then, when there was no pandemic and there was not a lot of internet, he had set it up to go and meet people one by one. So my one tip is planning networking, particularly for a job search, is not an impulsive, spontaneous thing. Like Ladi said, you need to put a bit of thought in it. You need to plan, who do I want to work for? Why do I want to work there? Because those answers for why do I want to work there and how would this benefit me will form the basis of the relationships that you start with people from there that you do network with. And we're going to, throughout this session, advise that you don't approach anybody with well, at least cold call anyone with the sole purpose of saying, I am looking
I
for a
want a
job.
job. Yeah, yeah,
So
yes.
you knowing who they are, where they work, and why you like to be associated with them will form the basis of your conversations to build your relationship to get to the place where you can, you know, express that you'd like to work for that organization. So that's my one tip.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't. That's your point about approaching people and saying I'm looking for work. I can't overemphasize. It can't be overemphasized enough. I mean, think about it. You're just there trying to meet your own KPIs. Then somebody just randomly pitches up and says, "Oh, hello," sends you a message on LinkedIn. "Hello, I see you're in charge of this. Well, I want a job." Who wants that kind of responsibility? If you do it, please stop. Don't do it. Um,
No, no, no.
Even to recruiters.
Even even beyond that, and I think even beyond you sending that and saying, "Oh, I'm looking for a job," and you're sending to this person who has high KPIs, realize that you're not the first one with this bright idea. So this person probably gets 10 or 15 of you on a daily basis because he's
Mhm.
just been newly appointed HR manager for MTN. There's you, the stranger. There's 15 of you, the strangers, and then there's 25 from his own family and friends. It's kind of
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind
Who
of
gets
a
picked
lot
first?
for
Yeah,
mm,
yes.
mm.
Yeah. It's a very important principle. Now, the whole point of a referral is that it's people who know you before I can refer you. I know you, I like you, I trust you. More importantly, even from a professional point of view, no matter how much we interact elsewhere, if I do not know for a fact that you can deliver, right, it's a bit of a risk to refer you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I could still make the referral, but I would probably do it with the proviso of, okay, this is how I know this person. Seems to look good. Do you want to check it out? It's now
Mm.
up to that person to decide whether they want to check it out or not. People will always, so let's talk about how do I always say put yourself, right? See
Mm-hmm.
the process through the eye of the employer, right? So how do people even start hiring? You're there, maybe a need comes up, or there's a new strategy. I need to hire someone. The first thing a manager will do will be, let's look in the organization who can do the job. When they now look internally and they don't have that resource, the decision is them. They now say, okay, so let's ask the next thing. I mean, just think about it. Last time you bought a major thing, you will look to see whether you have it immediately. Then the next thing is, who do we know, right, that can do the job? So the point of networking is to be in that who do we know space before you get to the point of, okay, no, let's put out a job ad. By the time you put out a job ad, it then becomes, oh, legal requirements, this, that, 250 people applying. You want to get yourself into that niche where when people are asking who do we know, you pop up as one of the people
Mm.
that we know, right? But not just that we know can do it. So then the other thing, I think I'd like us to touch on, which is, um at every step of your networking thing, it is about demonstrating, right, that you have that competency and sharing examples, instances of where you've done that thing that you want to be hired for, right? And you do that through not just conversations, sharing insights, but also how you've worded your LinkedIn profile and how you've worded your resume. It should be about achievement. What do you think, Uche?
Okay, I agree with you. I also think that one step up from that is that networking with somebody from a particular organization that you're interested in may not always be about you putting your own skills forward. Lots of times it's just about you gathering information, asking questions, showing interest, what they're doing, their project. For lack of a better word, it's a bit systematic. You're trying to build a relationship. It's like a friend that knows what he wants to get from you down the line.
Mm,
So it incorporates every bit of it. So this is what I know. This is how I can be of value to you. What are you doing so that I can even demonstrate the value? What are you interested in? Maybe I can advance that research for you. I
mm-hmm,
can help you, Oh, so you want to do this in your company. You mentioned something, and I tell you about, some article I read, and this company is doing it, and these are the comparisons. So, which also brings us to the place where the industry that you wish to work for, the company that you need to work for, you need to do some intense research. You have to know what they're thinking, how they're thinking, so
where
that
they're
every
going.
time, yeah, where they're going to, every time they talk to you, they see how you are aligned with what they're thinking. It will
Yeah.
not take too long. There are many instances that there might not be even the job that you are talking about, but you are related so often that they're like, this guy, we think we need you to come and talk about or implement some of these your ideas within our space, only because they know. You will realize that there's situations where you will have talked so much to that person, or you will have related, and they think you're such a mind that they craft the role that you will use to give value to the organization. So, what in line of what you asked is that it's not so much only you expressing your value, it's expressing your interest, is showing your curiosity to find out what they're doing, and how they're doing it, just a general interest for the
Absolutely.
organization. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can emphasize the point about people like to talk about themselves, you
And their
know,
work.
and their work. Attention to really, when you get someone who's really interested in what you do, right? And always, chipping in, you know, value.
Little bits of value, yeah.
That's the way, I mean, that's how you kind of warm up to that person, and before you know it, you guys are like in a regular it's a bit like normal relationship, right? A neighbor that you say hello to from time to time to start with, and then maybe you both have small children, and today, or dogs, today you make a comment, before you know it, you guys are having,
Tea.
long conversations and exchanging
And
exchanging.
having
So it's a bit like that. So find who's where you want to go, or who's going there, and kind of join their journey, right?
mm,
It's not just about I want to get this, it's an exchange of value. And so it shouldn't even just be I'm looking for a job. It's a
yeah,
career skill, right? It's a career skill, something you should do on an ongoing basis, a major investment, into. If you don't do it, then you're not likely to go very far, even in your career. And this networking is not just strictly. So if we look at it from a broader sense, it's not just strictly where do I want to work. There's also the who are the industry leaders, who are some of the
hmm
people I admire, who are doing things. Follow them, like them, comment on their posts, have conversations, check out their speeches, that kind of a thing. Okay, so I mean, that's it. That's the general overview around networking. Now I think we have a few questions, um a couple that came in via the comments section, and we'll try and then a few that came in from elsewhere. So Uche and I will try and just take those now. Now, if you have any questions, please, we're here to answer. Type them in the comment box, and we're glad to answer. So let's do this. All right, so the very first question was how to network properly with recruiters and clients when we approach them for the first time without any references. Okay, I think we've touched on that a bit, as we've run up to this. But I would tell you from a recruiter's point of view, and I think I've done a video about it. Don't just pitch up randomly, right? And say, here's my resume, find me work. Recruiters, internal hiring managers, and internal recruiters, as well as hiring managers, are looking, their purpose is to find people for the job, not find
mm.
a job for the people.
For the people.
If that's your approach, then you're going to get frustrated very quickly, because you'll be contacting people and sending out resumes, and that's not their focus. So you're not likely to hear back from them. So no, I don't advise that you just show up and start to say find me a job. But incorporating a few of the things we said earlier on, for recruiters, find the recruiters that specialize in hiring for your industry, right? Or if you can identify the recruiters that hire for the particular organization that you are targeting,
Mm.
and do a soft approach. So follow, like, comment if you're on LinkedIn. If you're offline, remember, it is warming up slowly the relationship. What you want to do is, when they think, who do we know, right, that can do this thing, you pop up. So use a few of the tactics that which and I have discussed before now. Then, but the hottest time to approach a recruiter is when they're hiring for a role that you want, right? So you've seen the role, yes, apply for it, but then you can go one step further and say, I see you're advertising for this role. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4 accomplishments, please. Not I can do this or I can do that, but I've done this in this place, I did this 100%, 20%. So immediately they can see how you match the job. Then you are helping them, you're making it easier for them to find the people for the job, which is what their mission is. The other thing is, even in terms of emphasizing building relationships with internal recruiters, but for your industry, for your specific role, not just any recruiter anywhere. One other thing I've seen people do successfully, I've done it successfully. um in my own case, it was an out and out. I applied for a job, they did not respond to me. 2 weeks later, I saw the ad, right? And I was like, what? They did not see my awesomeness. And then I applied again. This time I made the point of I'd applied before. I have really, I mean, what you're trying to do is really, really exciting to me. And I have, you know, a brilliant idea I'd like to discuss with you. The MD reached out to me. I went and we had a great conversation. This was not now no longer about the job. It was about the industry, what they were trying to do, and it was exciting. I actually found it exciting to the point where when he told me the next thing that they were trying to do to bring in the brand, I offered, and it wasn't even out of that I was applying. I actually enjoy it. Anybody who knows me knows to catch me, just tell me something I really like. Before I know it, I'm there doing it. So I took on that project, did it, and that's how I got hired for the job. But even if he hadn't hired me, that's one relationship, that I build. So it is where the client is going and stepping in and being willing to do a little extra work to give them value. Uche, any tips on this question before we move?
I think sometimes if you're soft approaching a recruiter, because it's hard to warm up to a recruiter. Nobody has time, I mean, to talk to
Yeah.
you. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, some recruiters that are very well established, you could engage them to just ask if they have like a database where they store resumes. Most recruiters, if they have a job before they go out to advertise it, it's
They
quite
check
easy
it.
to run through your database. So one tip could be when it's dealing with recruiters, just ask them if they have a central database where you can fill in the form and just load your CVs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will do that search and you can then build a relationship based on what their posts are or what their jobs they put on for another. But at least standard you would be in their database. So because most of them run ATS systems, when they're running those systems, you be yeah, and then apply all the other rules to other clients. Yes, that's me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So the next question is not a networking question, but I mean it came up and we promised to answer. So let's answer it. It's how to negotiate the best salary above company norms in an interview. I've heard that the power of negotiation matters the most. So Uche, it's your baby.
So I always get called on when talking about money. I
Yes.
must, I must have the dollar sign. All right. So negotiating your offer. It's not. So this question came from someone in particular that now said, I have heard that the power of negotiation matters the most. It does, but I tend not to agree that it matters the most. I think what matters the most in you talking in negotiating your offer is information. So you having information what the organization actually pays for that kind of role, which you would probably have to get externally, you knowing what the market pays and especially what their competition pays, then what you are earning, and then what you would genuinely like to earn that would make your life happy. So I'll break it down this way, and I like to tell stories. So we were in negotiation with a gentleman for a client after recruiting and assessing him, and then the gentleman earned, I don't want to use numbers, but let's say he earned 100,000, right? And then when they asked him his expectations, he said he wanted to earn maybe 500. And then when we went back to the client and said, "Oh, his expectations are 500," the client shouted like, "Why would he want 500 when he was just earning 100,000?" And the gentleman explained that the reason I left where I was to go out and work for myself was because the 100,000 was not enough. So I went out, I created my own business, and I've been working at that. And if you want me to come back and take this particular role, I know the industry pays 500. 500 is slightly higher than what I earn a month. So it would make it a pleasurable transition for me.
Mhm.
And then I know that you yourself within this organization, you pay 450. So he came to that negotiation with all of this. It was not just a number of times. I mean, when they ask you what do you expect, and like I mentioned last week, if you tell me what I expect, $5 million is fine. That's all right a month. And then lots of people can't defend why they've asked for $5 million, or why they've asked for 500,000. So I think the most critical thing for you to take into that salary negotiation is information.
Yeah.
Some people would say, oh, but they have a salary scale. They have a salary scale. I don't want to be tricked into going above my above what they typically would pay and lose the opportunity. But even if they have a salary scale that says 350, if you have market information, maybe they haven't updated their market information. So it's important that you come with the market information. And when we first spoke, you were comparable to company ABC. For this role in company ABC, this is what they pay. This is what I was earning.
Yeah.
Typically for recruitment, you will hear some fast and loose example where they'll say uh, you should add on like 20 to 25% based on what you're earning. But if the your baseline that you're earning now
It was
in
below
25
market.
was below market, then you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Hmm.
So come with market information. So it's not so much just you raising your own profile, from what you were earning to 25. The market is so skewed especially in Nigeria. There's no market data for salary. What this person is earning in A is different from what the exact copy of that company is earning in B. It's almost at the whim of the owner
Employer.
or of the employer. So market information will really help you. You don't need to bring exact to the last dot. You just have to know, okay, so this person, this role in this organization, they pay 1.5 to 3 million a month. You will work on those and then find a comfortable place for yourself.
Mm, mm. Absolutely. That's it. Know the market. Come armed with your data. That's it, really. Okay, let me quickly take Asuko's comment. Asuko said we were talking about finding people for the job, right? Versus finding job for people. It's
Hmm.
something you don't forget it as someone who's looking for a job. It's a lot of responsibility, even for your very good friend to say, help me find job. That's not the thing. It's for you to package your value, identify the opportunity, match yourself, and then you make it easy, right? Then for people who are recommending you to recommend you. All right, so let's quickly take the next question. This
Hold
one
on, hold
says,
on. One
okay,
second before you do that. I just wanted to mention something based on what you just said. What Asuko's comment was. All right. Like you mentioned before, that people should put themselves in the place of the recruiter. It's very important for the person who's doing the job search and also doing the network drive for the job search to know that the what they are feeling emotionally is not what the recruiter is feeling.
is feeling, yeah.
So
Everybody has
lots of
their own priorities.
uh, so you would write a typical recruiter, be like, oh, I've not worked for 1 year, the pandemic, you need to help me find a job. That desperation and that emotional laden conversation, it comes through. And then you have to understand that already becomes like a no-no. It puts the recruiter off in that they can't be emotionally vested in everyone that they meet.
Does,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's a bit it's too much for a human being who is doing a job.
Yeah.
Always remember that this person is doing a job. They too, at the end of the day, they might like recruitment, but they're also doing it for their pay. They can't take on all applicants' emotional headspace. So my child is in hospital, I need money, I really have to find work. So always know that they are looking for people for the job, and quickly you can make yourself more, what's that word, you can stand out better
Mm-hmm.
if you are like, okay, this is not the job for me, I would like an opportunity, is there a database I can get on, I will follow you and see if you have any opportunities that are suited for me. And oh, by the way, do you do any kind of training, or do you have material I can use to job? You engage them on a professional level where they can also show off their skills to you
Mm-hmm.
without you waiting for an outcome of a job.
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
recruiters, is a lot of responsibility when you lay your emotional requirements on them, and you're looking at them as the savior who's going to provide that job. and make
Mm,
every,
mm,
every problem you have in your life fine.
mm,
If you
mm.
look at recruiters and realize that they too they're doing a job and it's not fair to have that emotional burden on them, the urgency at which you write those emails or you network will be better managed, I guess.
Very, very good point. And really, that point can be extended to even your big uncle who you are taking your CV to help you
Hmm. Yes.
um, get a job, or the former client or former boss who you
Mm.
reach out to. This thing is about value. Speak to the job, not to nobody is looking to hire someone because they want to help them. We are looking to hire someone because there's a problem to fix or there's a goal to attain. Speak to the mission, speak to the goal. So if I look at you and see you as a solution, this person is a whiz accountant, we have major accounting issues, this person has done it, then it's not a begging conversation anymore. They're looking for
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Mm.
So it is positioning yourself, right? Knowing how to quantify your own value and knowing who to target that needs that value. This thing is marketing. I'm sorry, people feel uncomfortable with saying, oh, marketing and sales, but it is really people have a need for a service. You are the service, or you can provide the service. Find them, speak to their pain, right? Speak to their outcomes, and the conversation just changes. It changes right from the point of view of how you are even being assessed. So, see this, if we've advertised a role, right, there's a job description. Typically, everybody who applies to that job ad, you're from a recruitment point of view, you're then taken against the job requirements. But if
Mm.
you get mentioned, right, as, oh, I know this somebody who can do this thing, right? You're coming through a referral or your network. The conversation is then not about whether you meet the requirements or not. It becomes about performance. What's your track record? What have you done before? It then becomes easier, right, to place you. In fact, sometimes they can even, as Uche said when we were talking earlier, even tweak the job to suit you. So please, it's about value. When you can quantify your value, when you can pitch it, when you learn how to build mutually valuable relationships, your job search will be faster. Okay, so I mean, we're actually at 30 minutes. The time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? So if you're watching this, and I have a couple of comments. Let me just, oh, okay. Asuka's question is, how do you deal with a less knowledgeable interviewer? Let's quickly speak to that, and then we wrap up. Uche, how do you deal
Oh,
with a less knowledgeable interviewer?
which is what you will meet very often.
Yes, because
Very, very
you
often.
are not
Because
a technical specialist.
yes, lots of the person who is a technical interviewer or line manager, or they have those interview panels with organizations that when you get there, there would be the HR, the line manager, there would be the finance guy or procurement because he's buying a service from you essentially.
Yes.
They want to talk about money and all of that. Not all of them are trained to be a good interviewer. I think the
Mhm.
best way you can deal with that is walking into an interviewer, understanding that not everyone would be a great interviewer. And then, so what you do is to be able to present your own value at every turn when they ask you. The onus on that point is on you. You enter some interviews where people are aggressive, where people are, lots of the interviewing stars is, you tell us when you're. So what you would do in that instance is to go into an interview thinking of it as a behavioral interview.
Mhm.
Let me explain what that means. So instead of when they say, how do we do project management or finish this project in 6 months, don't recount how to do it. Don't recount the most ideal way to do the project. Recount from a place of experience. When I was doing this type of project 2 years ago, this was what we did. This was what I was involved in. Like, it's like experiential interview. They
Mhm.
can. Everybody can read a book and know the best way to do something. It's a different thing if you've already experienced it. So you come and speak of that experience, then you speak of maybe some challenges that you had, how you solved it, and how you will not meet that particular kind of challenge ever again. So if you go, so that any question that they ask you, you respond to it experientially. It's a way to manage people who are hostile, to
Yes.
show that really I have done this, and it also follows for every kind of person who's on that panel. There is no guarantee, not unless we do a worldwide training of everyone on how to interview, which should be done, but often it's not done. You just have line managers who then just come and are agitated and are aggressive. It seems like they're aggressive, and mostly because they don't know any better way to interview, because it's supposed to be like a test. The strongest must survive, that kind of thing. So if you're dealing with a less knowledgeable interviewer, it would be best if you were the best kind of interviewee possible. So you understand the kind of people you might meet, and then you manage them from that point on.
Mm. Thank you very much. Uche, very well said. Thank you for that question, Asuko. I think one can just sum it up and say it really is about value.
Hmm.
Knowing, understanding what they need, knowing the value you bring, making the match and making it easier for them to see the connection, no matter how hostile they are.
Hmm.
When you come in and say, this is what you need based on experience, this is what goes on, and here's what I've delivered, the conversation, believe me, it changes. It's no longer about personalities. It's about, oh, you can do that, and then you continue there. All right, so we'll stop from here. 30 minutes, we're at 36 minutes now. It's always fun. Let me acknowledge, um Wale. We see you. Hello. Thank you for joining us. All right, so we'll be here again next week, having another of these conversations. We're putting this up online. Feel free to, please, if you're watching the replay, you have questions, just type it in the comments where you find the video, and we will answer. So until next week, thank you everyone who joined us, and see you next time. Bye for now.
Oh, wow.
Bye.